saying the environment has been
What we're saying is have a heart.
We've got to be able to regenerate our
There'll be
economy.
people who are kind, people who are cruel, but that's life. You can be bigoted about videos. I'm fine with that.
One of the sort of ideas that we're putting forward is that it be preserved as a cemetery heritage park. So it is
has there been an equivalent in the world? Oh, there
Oh,
must
many.
be, of course.
Yeah.
See,
But those are modern purpose, like Arlington and all that. They
Right,
are
so there's all
purpose-built memorial parks.
Oh no, I mean I just been to like this Mount Koya outside Osaka. Is a heritage cemetery park as well. Very well preserved. In South Korea, for example, you have the Ceylon graves, another heritage park, UNESCO World Site, very well preserved too. And I think underlying it is not just the heritage value, but it provides a very important public space to the people. I mean, the increasingly very commercialized, very privatized environment that we get in condominiums and all these projects. Roads are not public spaces.
Okay.
Yeah.
making Bukit Brown, let's say, a heritage cemetery park, will create something that's different from, of course, the nature reserve, this Macritchie, and very different from Botanic Gardens.
Have you taken moves to do that? To propose that?
Yes.
Well, we have proposed it to the air. I mean, we have not spoken to any particular authority who said, let me consider your proposal.
Yeah.
You know.
Why not?
In our petition, there is reference to a park.
What I would call a heritage cemetery park.
Cemetery park, okay.
You know, and the fact of the matter is, right now, you see, that there's a lot of jungle in Bukit Brown because the jungle has taken over, right? If you want to actually develop as a cemetery heritage park, you can manage that. You know that you can both keep as much of the greenery as possible, but at the same time, the graves can also then be cleaned up and preserved, because the graves themselves tell a the graves are like a living museum of tremendous information that has not really been known before.
North of Singapore, is it a Teochew grave site?
It's a mix.
It's a mix,
mostly Hokkien.
Mostly Hokkien.
Hokkien and Teochew, and there's Peranakan graves, and there's
The graves are really unique, and like you say, they really tell stories. Like if you go on.
Okay, let's move into then the if you're talking of a grave park, what are the architectural merits of the gravestones? I mean, are there any value to the stones? What do they tell you?
Firstly, we don't see this kind of stones anymore. What do we learn? There's a lot. If you go for the walks, you can tell about the type of graves, the different sizes. A lot of the writings, there's poetry, there's sculpture.
But how much of this has entered into the sort of education of our young people, entered into the sort of cultural heritage, the transfer of cultural heritage?
Not much, but it can.
It's actually beginning. The various volunteers have conducted walks for about more than 7,000 people from the secondary schools, the community centers, from ordinary private tours to prominent personalities sometimes. And I think most of them would recognize the value of it, and to even it's part of our identity in a way that you have this eclectic mix between Western and Eastern that made up colonial Singapore. And the different types of scripts, the different type of dates, you know. So you have the Qing Dynasty dates, you have the dates of Republican China, and you have English and Chinese words mixed together. Those for the more prominent.
Which is unique to our
which is
part
unique
of the world.
to this part of the world, that you cannot find it anywhere else.
And also the masonry, right?
Yeah.
The way they built it is also unique to
And
this part of the
it's a
world.
very interesting way of exploration for people going there, you know, to find out yourself, to look at the different engravings, to look at the different scripts that actually reflects on the history of Singapore itself. It's not an official park, but it's actually a de facto park. The Polo Club uses it for its walks with the horses. Joggers go there as well. So you have a lot of users, and you know the place comes alive at night. Especially during the 7th month, you know, you have people going there on a private basis. giving the offerings to the lost souls and spirits. I think this is a very...
This is Qingming, is it?
No, a 7th month. But
7th month.
sometimes, occasionally, people go there when they found that they have struck good fortune. And I feel that it's a very endearing act because this is how you remember lost souls, souls that are forgotten. You do not even know their names. I know there was one group that I followed at night. They just opened their car doors and they played like Buddhist music to entertain the spirits, and they burned incense paper. So you can't find this sort of acts of charity around, you know, in a museum.
But it's nice to say that they're valuable and all that, but short of having a program to capture all the things that you're talking about and to actually systematically pass it on in an educational way, I think it will remain just wishes only.
We do have a program, both at the official level. The Urban Redevelopment Authority has commissioned a documentation team, and also the activists have been even holding their own exhibitions. There was one exhibition, very beautiful exhibition held recently, an outreach program. Schools are interested. Schools are doing projects themselves. So why do we spend so much money to create an artificial garden, bringing in plants that have to be sustained at great cost, whereas this is free?
Do you think it probably needs a more formal approach where perhaps a ministry or a stat board or something looks at it like a museum, like maybe an open-air museum, so that the efforts that are put into it is sustainable and continuous?
Absolutely.
Because,
I mean, this is we are suggesting that this becomes a national project. It's a national project because it has national significance.
And what is the project? Can you define that
the
for
project
me?
is to mine this cemetery for its historical, cultural, and heritage and anthropological value. It has lots to yield which it hasn't.
Okay.
I mean, because the scholars have only very recently been made aware because of these developments. Now when they come and they study the graves, and then architectural professors talk about material culture of the cemetery, what the inscriptions show, and what the stories that they tell. All that these are new discoveries. There's even a pauper's grave section at Bukit Brown. So the thing is that there is so much to uncover and to discover.
And it requires more than just
I think
hope and passion.
What
right?
we really need is a
formula.
moratorium and a wider environmental impact assessment. Call for a moratorium and get experts to come in to cover a wider assessment for the whole of Bukit Brown, for the whole area, right? Even all the way up to the police academy on Red Road. A systematic study.
Well, it has the fact that Bukit Brown is now recognized as a site under the 2014 World Monuments Watch. Does that make a difference to your request for having a proper holistic study done?
I believe it will make a difference. The thing though is you must realize it's not as if we are a government agency with machinery behind us, setting forth, putting an agenda on the table of the authorities. We're not. We are a very loose bunch of civil society organizations, each coming to Bukit Brown from different angles of interest. It is an amazing group. I mean, that has sprung up from around this subject. Every Saturday and Sunday at 9 a.m., rain or shine, the volunteer guides are there, and they guide groups from 20 to 50 people. So that in that 1.5 years, 7,000 individuals have been guided through Bukit Brown.
We're going to take a break now. When we come back, we want to examine the issues of conservation versus development and civil society versus the government, okay, in relation to Bukit Brown as an example.